My name is Ryan Callahan. I was 19 years old when the first thing happened. Something got into my best friend's phone while he was sleeping, and before the night was over, it had already found its way to my front door. If you think Snapchat is just a dumb app for funny pictures, keep listening, because this one changed the way I sleep. Ben's phone. It was a Tuesday night in July. Nothing special about it. I was sitting in my bedroom with the fan going and the window cracked, just killing time on my phone the way you do when it is too hot to do anything else. I had been trading snaps back and forth with my buddy Ben all evening. We had been friends since sophomore year of high school, and we talked every single day. He was the kind of person who responded within 30 seconds. That was just how he was. Around 10 o'clock, I sent him a funny photo. One of those stupid selfies you take when you are bored and your face looks ridiculous and you know it. I waited. A minute went by, then 5. He had not opened it yet. I sent another one. Still nothing. I was watching the app. I could see both snaps sitting there unread. For Ben, that was unusual. He was practically glued to his phone. I figured maybe he had fallen asleep. Then I watched his name update. He had opened both snaps, back to back, within the same second. I stared at the screen, waiting for the little icon to show he was typing back. Nothing came. I texted him, "Just said what is up." The message showed read within 30 seconds. Still no reply. I put the phone down and tried to shake it off. Maybe he was in a mood. Maybe something had happened. I told myself it was not a big deal, and I went back to watching TV. About an hour later, I was talking to another friend of mine, a guy named Chris, and Ben's name came up casually. And Chris said something that made me stop mid-sentence. He said Ben had lost his phone that afternoon. I asked Chris to repeat it. He did. Ben had lost his phone somewhere during the day. He had been looking for it for hours. He did not have it. I sat there with that information for a moment and let it settle. Someone else had Ben's phone. Someone else had opened those snaps. Someone else had read my text. I called Ben's house on his landline. His dad picked up and passed the phone over. Ben confirmed it immediately. He had no idea where his phone was. He had been without it since around 4 that afternoon. I told him what had happened. Told him someone had been using his Snapchat and reading his texts. He went quiet for a second and then said one thing that made my stomach drop. He said he had both our home addresses saved in his contacts. I told him I would handle it, and I hung up. I texted Ben's number directly. I said I knew he had lost his phone, and whoever had it needed to return it. I kept it calm. I sent 2 more texts saying the same thing different ways. Every single one showed read. Not one reply came back. Then a Snapchat notification appeared on my screen. It was from Ben's account. I opened it. The photo was a selfie, taken in a dim room with bad overhead lighting. A man looking directly into the camera. He looked like he was in his late 30s or early 40s. Wide face, short dark hair, and he was smiling. Not a normal smile. The kind of smile that does not match any particular emotion, just a face doing a thing. The caption beneath the photo was 2 words, "Coming over." I read it twice. I looked at my bedroom window. However, 3 in the morning. I texted Ben back on his phone one more time. I said I was going to call the police if the phone was not returned. The message showed read immediately. No response. I thought about calling the police right then, but I kept second-guessing myself. Coming over could mean anything. It could be some teenager who found the phone thinking he was being funny. It could be a drunk guy who grabbed the wrong jacket at a party. I talked myself down from it. I told myself I was overreacting. I locked my bedroom door. I checked the window latch. It was a ground floor bedroom with the window facing a narrow side yard along the house. The window had one of those simple latches that you flick to the side. Not exactly Fort Knox. I left the light on and tried to sleep. I do not know what time I drifted off, but I know what woke me up. It was not a sound, it was light. A sharp burst of white light hit the inside of my eyelids and jolted me awake. I sat up fast, and for a second, I did not know where I was or what had happened. The room felt wrong, warmer than it should have been, stuffy in a way that it had not been when I fell asleep. Then my eyes adjusted and I saw my window. It was open, not cracked, open, several inches, and there was a man's upper body halfway through it. He had a phone in his hand, the front camera facing at me, the flash still fading from the shot he had just taken. I do not fully remember screaming, but I must have because my parents were in the hallway within seconds. What I do remember is pressing myself back against the wall at the head of my bed and watching the man try to pull himself back out through the window frame. He was larger than the opening wanted, and for a moment he seemed stuck. I remember thinking something horrible in that second. Then he got out. By the time my dad got into the room, the window was empty. My dad ran outside. The man was gone. He had gotten over the back fence before my dad could get around the corner of the house. We called 911. The officers ran the phone when they recovered it 2 miles away in the yard of a rental house. The man was inside. They arrested him that same night. Ben got his phone back. I got a statement to give and a follow-up call from a detective 2 days later. The man had a history. The detective did not go into specifics, but she said this was not his first incident, that it involved more than just one phone, that there were other names in what he had been doing that summer. I did not sleep well for a long time after that. I moved my bed away from the window. I put a wooden dowel in the track so it could not be pushed open from outside. I still check that window every single night before I go to sleep. Every night without exception. What I saw in her snap. The second story I'm going to tell you is not about me directly, but it is one I cannot get out of my head because I was the one who saw it first. And I was the one who had to make a decision in about 4 seconds that may have changed everything. This happened about a year before the incident with Ben's phone. I was 18, just out of high school, and I had been talking to a girl named Cassie over Snapchat for a few weeks. Nothing serious, just conversation. She was funny and easy to talk to, and I liked her. One night around 9, I was watching TV at the kitchen table. Not really watching, just having it on for noise while I messed around on my phone. Cassie sent me a snap, a casual selfie. She was lying in bed with her ceiling light on, that kind of standard sleepy evening photo. I sent back a message asking what she was up to. She sent another one. Same setup, same angle, same room. The caption said, "Not much you." She had the timer set to 10 seconds, so I had a solid look at it. The room behind her had a window. The blinds were up. And standing just outside that window, far enough back that most people would not catch it, was a shape, a person, standing still, facing in. I stared at it. I closed the snap before the timer ran out and typed back, "Is that someone at your window?" She replied within seconds with another photo. Same room, same angle. The shape had moved closer. I could see a hand now, palm flat against the outside of the glass. I shut the snap again immediately and typed, "There is somebody at your window, turn around right now." She opened it almost instantly, and then nothing. No response, no snap, no text. I tried calling twice, straight to voicemail both times. I sat at that kitchen table and stared at my phone for what felt like an extremely long time. I did not have her home number. I did not know her address. I had no way to reach her parents. All I could do was sit there and wait and keep trying to call. It was almost midnight before she finally texted me. She was okay, shaken, but okay. She had looked at my snap and turned around and seen the figure standing at her window from the inside this time. She screamed. The man outside heard it and forced the window open and got one leg into the room before she was already out her bedroom door and down the hall screaming for her dad. Her dad got to the room and found the window open and the man gone. He had jumped back out when he heard her father coming. The police came. They did a perimeter search but found nothing that night. They believed the man had been watching the house for some time based on where he had positioned himself. He knew which window was hers. They never caught him. Cassie moved out of that room. She stayed at her aunt's house for 3 weeks. She changed her Snapchat settings to friends only that same night and went through every single person on her list. I think about those 10 seconds a lot. The snap had a timer. If I had let it run out, I would have closed the app and moved on without looking closely. The shape in the background was easy to miss. It looked like furniture. It looked like a coat hanging on a hook. Your brain fills things in as harmless until you make yourself stop and actually look. Those 10 seconds were the whole thing. Hector. The third thing I want to tell you about happened to me directly. It was a Saturday night in October. I was 20, a sophomore at community college, living at home to save money. My parents had gone to bed early. I was at the kitchen table around 10 o'clock, just snapping back and forth with a couple of friends the way you do on a quiet weekend night. A notification came in from an account I did not recognize. Username Hector_something. I did not know anyone named Hector. I did not open it right away. I left it sitting there and kept talking to my other friends. I figured it was a wrong number type of situation or some random person who had added me by mistake. Half an hour passed and I had honestly mostly forgotten about it. Then a second snap came from the same account. This time I opened both. The first photo was taken indoors. Very dark, just barely enough light to see that a face was there. I could not make out features clearly. The skin tone was a little darker, the shape of the face wide. That was all I could tell. The second photo was taken outside at night. A road stretching away from the camera. An arm extended into the frame pointing down the road. The image was grainy, slightly blurred at the edges. The kind of picture you take quickly with your arm at your side. I typed into the chat, "Who is this?" The message showed read immediately. No reply. I noticed the account had a score of 5, essentially brand new. And when I checked his story viewers from earlier that week, I could see this same account had watched every single one of my public stories. All of them. Going back 7 days. I texted 3 friends I thought might be pranking me. All of them said it was not them. 2 of them thought it was funny. I did not. Another snap came in from Hector. I opened it with my stomach already tight. It was taken from the middle of a street. I looked at the image for a moment, trying to figure out where it was. Then I recognized the old green utility box on the corner, the cracked sidewalk by the fire hydrant, the way the street lights sat spaced along that particular block. He was 2 blocks from my house. I called my friend Danny. He lived 2 doors down, and he was a big guy, played football in high school, the kind of person you want around when something feels wrong. I told him what was happening. He came over in about 4 minutes and sat down with me on the couch. We stared at my phone together. Danny kept making nervous jokes. I was not laughing. The 4th snap came in. It was my block, taken from the corner near the old lamppost. I could see the lineup of houses, the parked cars, the particular dip in the curb in front of the Henderson's place next door. Danny said to take a screenshot. I did. We ran to the front door and looked out. The street was quiet, a few porch lights on, nothing moving. We put our shoes on and went outside. Danny stayed at the front. I went around toward the back. On my way through the side yard, another snap came in. I stopped walking and opened it right there in the dark. It was a photo of my back door, taken from outside the fence, aimed directly at the door I was about 10 feet away from. I did not go through the gate. I yelled for Danny to come around back. I heard him jogging up behind me. I pushed through the gate. There was someone already moving, a figure cutting fast across the far end of the yard toward the side gate. We both ran after him, but the yard lights only covered so much, and by the time we got through the second gate, he was into the street and gone. We ran half a block in both directions. Nothing. We went back inside. Danny stayed for another 2 hours. We sat on that couch and I watched my phone the entire time. No more snaps from Hector while Danny was there. After Danny left, I went to bed around 1 in the morning. I left my light on. I left my door open so I could hear the house. I lay there in the dark for probably 90 minutes before I finally dropped off. When I woke up the next morning, the first thing I did was check my phone. 3 notifications, all from Hector, all sent at different points during the night while I was sleeping. I pressed the button and opened the first one. It was a photo of the window on the east side of the house, my parents' bedroom. The second photo was the kitchen window facing the backyard. The third photo was my bedroom window. He had been walking around the house in the dark while I was asleep. Looking in, I blocked the account. I reported it to Snapchat. I got an automated response that meant nothing. When I followed up a week later, I got the same automated response. I never found out who Hector was. I do not know how he had my username. I do not know how he had my address. I do not know if he had been watching me for days before that night or weeks or longer. The account disappeared after I blocked it. It had existed for what looked like about 2 weeks. What gets left behind? I want to wrap these 3 things up together because they all point at the same thing, and I think about them as one piece. The man who came through my window using Ben's phone. The man standing at Cassie's window in the background of a selfie she did not even know he was in. Hector circling my house in the dark, photographing each window, watching the lights go on and off, sending me photos one at a time, like a game. None of these were strangers in the random sense. In each case, there was a point of entry, a piece of information, a digital thread that connected them to a specific person at a specific address. Ben's phone had our addresses in the contacts. Cassie's Snapchat was public, and her location was probably visible from context in her posts. My username was on a public account that anyone could find if they looked for it. Every app you use on your phone with a public setting is a thread, and some people spend a lot of time pulling on threads. After the night with Hector, I went through every account I had, set everything to private, went through my follower list carefully, looked at who had been viewing my stories consistently without ever interacting. There were 3 accounts I could not identify. All 3 had low scores. All 3 had been watching my stories for weeks. I removed them. I changed my username. The sleeplessness after these things is something people do not really talk about. It is not dramatic. It is not like in movies where the character is sweating and shaking. It is quieter than that. It is just this low-level alertness that does not fully turn off. You lie in bed and one part of your brain stays on, listening, processing sounds, cataloging whether something is normal or not. I still do not sleep with the window cracked. Not once since that July night with the flash and the man in the frame. Not once. I still check my phone when I wake up and feel a small, involuntary thing happen in my chest while the screen loads. Like my body is bracing for something. The Hector account was gone within a week of me blocking it. He deleted it or it was taken down. Either way, there was no trace left. No username to search. No account to show the police. Nothing. I do not know if he came back to my street after that night. I do not know if he moved on to someone else. I do not know if he got what he was looking for, or if he is still out there with a new account and a new username, waiting for someone to leave their story on public. What I know is this: every platform you use has a public setting and a private setting. The private setting exists for a reason. Use it. Go through your followers list and actually look at it. Not scroll through it. Look at it. Ask yourself if you recognize every single person on there. If you do not, remove them. The man who came through my window that July night took a photo of me before I woke up. I never saw that photo. I do not know what he did with it. I do not know how many nights he had been standing outside before the night he decided to come in. And that is the part I cannot stop thinking about. Not the moment I saw him in the window, not the flash of light, not the screaming. The part before that, the nights I slept without knowing, the nights I had no idea. Check your settings. Know who is watching, because some of them are already closer than you think.